If I wanted to become a PLC programmer in 2026, this is exactly what I would do. I program PLCs myself, hands-on for 10 years, and since starting this training company in 2016, we've helped hundreds of electricians, technicians, and engineers make the jump to PLC and controls work without going back to college and without taking on student debt. If you are an electrician or a tech who has hit the income ceiling and you're tired of trading your body for a paycheck and wondering how you can keep this up until retirement, this is a skill that gets you working with your head instead of your back. So before we get into it, here's the whole path. Level 1 is where you need to decide and get your setup. Level 2 is where you learn ladder logic and Studio 5000. Level 3, you're going to add HMI and drive programming skills so you can connect to real equipment. Level 4, you're going to build a portfolio of programs to show your experience and prove you can do this. And level 5 is to position yourself to get the role and the pay increase in controls and automation. You're somewhere along these 5 levels right now, and by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where you are and which one you need to progress to next. Now, you don't need expensive PLC hardware to do this. You just need a very capable Windows computer and access to the right Rockwell automation software. You can learn a lot of different PLC programming software when you're starting out, but if you want the quickest path to being market ready, you want to learn Studio 5000 and Factory Talk View from Rockwell Automation. This is what the industry in the US runs on primarily right now, and so this is your best bet in terms of having a marketable skill right away. So again, you need a Windows computer with the right horsepower, about 16 gigs of RAM, an i5 equivalent processor or higher, and you need a quiet place to put in 5 to 8 hours a week if you want to make this transition in the next 6 months. Now, once you've got your computer setup handled, and you've decided this is the path for you, you need to learn ladder logic programming. So ladder logic is still king in 2026 when it comes to controls and automation. Obviously, there's a lot of buzz and excitement about AI or structured text, even in PLCs, since that looks more like traditional programming languages like Python or Java. But factories and manufacturing environments, they don't go change their logic in their programs to fit with the newest programming fads. Many of these plants have been running on PLCs that were put into production 30 years ago, so they're still running on ladder logic. And this is what employers are hiring for in the first place, so you want to start there. So first, you want to start with learning the relay type instructions. These are the bedrock of ladder logic because it's supposed to look like physical control circuits. That's why it was developed back in the 70s or 80s. Next, you're going to want to learn timers and counters. So these are delay timers that you can put in your logic to make sure things happen only for a certain time or they turn off after a certain amount of time. And then counters allow you to count parts or count operations or count cars coming in and out of a parking garage, things like that. So these are probably the next most common instructions you'll need to know. Then you want to learn comparison instructions, things like limit instruction or an equal instruction, compare a value to another value. And when those two values are equal, then the instruction is true. Similarly, you've got the greater than or less than. Those are really important. Then you've got math instructions. So subtracting or multiplying and dividing, those types of things. Now, you don't want to get stuck chasing every tutorial that you see on YouTube. You can watch 1,000 YouTube videos on ladder logic, but then the first time you sit in front of a real PLC, you'll freeze. Because obviously watching is not the same as building. You need to have access to real software where you can watch something and actually get some hands-on with the computer and try it out for yourself. And we've seen this time and time again with our students. They know enough about PLCs to open up a program and even troubleshoot things, but they are terrified of creating a program from scratch. The only way to get over that fear is to actually do it, and you can't do it without the software and learning things and putting it into practice right away. So ladder logic is kind of the spine of the controls and automation systems in the US today, but PLCs don't do it alone. You also have human-machine interfaces and variable frequency drives. The HMI is the touch screen or the user interface that the operator is going to see when they're monitoring a machine, maybe controlling it or possibly even troubleshooting it. And then there's variable frequency drives, which are devices that are controlling motors and conveyors and are throughout the plant doing various processes connected to the PLC. It's an important skill to learn to stack onto the PLC and HMI side. All right, so here we are at level 3, HMIs and drives. So you're programming systems, not toys. So the PLC is the brain, but the HMI is like the face. You don't want every operator to have to be a ladder logic expert to go into the PLC anytime anything happens. So the HMI allows them to quickly see what's going on in machines and throughout the plant and act on those with control decisions. So when it comes to learning HMI programming and design, really you're learning how to add objects to the screen. You're learning how to give labels to those that make sense to the operator, machine 1, and you're linking those objects to tags on the PLC, whether that's with a visibility animation or a color animation. You need to learn how to link those up to the PLC. And then you're setting up alarms that the operator can see when something happens in the PLC that it detects in the machine or the process. You're adding buttons that they can push to control certain things, and those connect to those tags again. You're adding numeric displays that show you a number, tank pressure, or a liquid level in a tank. Those types of things that they can see and understand and modify and control as needed. Then we have drives. Variable frequency drives is a big part of what is happening in a plant because they're controlling motors. And knowing the basics of how a VFD works and how to integrate it into a PLC and control it from the PLC is going to be a really important skill for you. So plenty of people learn kind of the basics of ladder logic, but they stop there and they don't really integrate it into their understanding of how to make a system work from start to finish. And then they're confused why they're not getting offers and interviews for controls jobs. The reason is they only have a third of the stack. Next is level 4. This is where you're going to build a portfolio before anyone hires you. So you want 5 or 6 completed projects. Some of them can be simple. Some of them should be a little more complex. And projects that you've actually built is more persuasive than just a couple lines on your resume. Pick a real world problem like a conveyor system, a liquid transfer system, traffic light, batch mixing. Build the full thing, PLC plus the HMI for bonus points. Then show on your screen what you've completed, and if you can show that to the interviewer, they're going to be impressed. Now, documentation is an important part of this. You always want to have good documentation in your programs, comments on rungs, possibly even one longer section in the program that explains the whole program and process and what it is supposed to do. One of our students, Romaine Johnson, was working at Amazon. He took the control systems lead test in order to get the next promotion. The first time he took it, though, he failed. Then he started our program. After he took our program, he went back to take the test again. And what do you know? He passed the test and was able to move up into the next level at Amazon. Keith was a panel builder who was able to move up within the same company as well from panel builder into a PLC programming role after just a few months inside our program. Now, the portfolio is not just for show. Sometimes our students don't even get to show their portfolio. But what's really cool is that they've built this confidence in themselves by building those projects, that now they have the confidence, and that shows in the interview. Okay, now you have the skills and you even have proof of the skills. This next part is honestly where a lot of people get stuck. You really need this next level. So let's talk about level 5. Positioning yourself for the role and the raise. So there's 4 levels to this positioning. The first is the resume. You have to have your resume right with the right keywords in there so that you get picked up by the hiring systems and they say, okay, this is one of the resumes we're going to push over here, and then we will consider this candidate. Next is a LinkedIn profile. You need to have more than just a basic LinkedIn profile. Getting your LinkedIn presence dialed in is going to help you get noticed by recruiters and open up a lot more opportunities for you in controls and automation. Next is targeting the right job posting. So knowing which job postings to really go after and which ones are not worth your time is really important to make sure that you're spending time on the right ones that are going to work with your experience that you built up combined with the new skills that you've learned with PLCs, HMIs, and drives. And lastly is interview prep. You need to be prepped for the types of questions that you're going to be asked at the interview so that you can put your best foot forward and not be nervous and unable to answer basic questions. And part of that means being able to prepare to tell stories of your past experience in related fields. Also, there's negotiating. A lot of times our students don't even get to the point where they can negotiate compensation because they're not able to get those interviews and be well prepared for them. But we've had students, they've been trying to get jobs for months and months, and then they start working with our career coach, like Joe Richards, who started working. He was a mechanical engineer, started going through our program. Within just a few weeks of working with our career coach, he had a new controls and automation offer that was paying 15% more than he had been making with an engineer title. And getting that pay raise is obviously not the only thing, or sometimes even the main thing that our students gain by getting these skills and getting a new role in controls and automation. For example, Greg Escobar was a well-paid maintenance technician making about $100K a year, but he was having to work a ton of overtime, including weekends, to get to that pay level. Within 2 months of starting our program, Greg had a new role doing PLC programming and automation work, working normal hours every week, much better benefits, able to take time off to be with his kids and his family, enjoying his job a lot more, and making $15K extra a year with a lot less hours. Now, obviously, these are not promises. We can't guarantee anything, even if you go through all these 5 steps with or without us. But these are just some examples of what's possible when you have these skills and you follow this step-by-step process. You now have the exact path. The only thing between you and the top of these 5 levels is whether you run them in order and whether you have something keeping you on it. You don't need to be the smartest person in the plant. You need to be the one who follows the path and doesn't stop. The piece a lot of people still get wrong, even after they get the technical skills right, is the actual hiring step, getting interviews, and getting offers. I put together a video where I broke down what actually worked for the people I've helped land automation roles, the specific patterns that we saw across all of them, what they did differently, and what they stopped doing. I'd watch that one next. The link is on the screen now, so click that one and I'll see you over there.